If you are looking for an example of just how deeply unserious this administration has become, look no further than the press conference held at Chicago's O'Hare Airport yesterday by Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy and Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. Now, this press conference was supposed to be about highlighting the administration's transportation priorities in this term. And, there are a lot that they could focus on because there are a lot of things that Americans care about when it comes to air travel. They care about making air travel more efficient, more safe, and more cost effective. Unfortunately, this press conference answered none of those questions for the American people, not a single one. Instead, the press conference basically devolved into this weird display of bizarre stunts and this sort of dollar store masculine cosplay. It truly felt like a fever dream. It really just shows that so many of these cabinet secretaries in the Trump administration don't actually care about the business of governing. They just want to go out there and give the optics of governing. And it was on display time and again during this kind of, 45-minute, hour-long, very strange press conference yesterday. And, it started with Sean Duffy, who has recently talked about this of wanting to improve air travel for the American people by asking them to dress better, as if that is some sort of a legitimate policy proposal. But he's brought it up before, couldn't help himself by bringing it up again yesterday. Let's take a look at what he had to say. The responsibility of the American people is to dress better when they show up to the airport. Let's take a look.
Dave Shepardson from Reuters. You talked about, like the salty pretzels and the calorie-laden cookies. Is there anything you can do from a regulatory standpoint to force the airlines to do more, or is this just more trying to jawbone the airlines and the airports into voluntarily doing that?
I'm not a big government guy. I'm not fining anyone if they wear their pajamas on the airplane, right? That's not what we're doing. We're asking people to, again, maybe dress a little better. And I've asked airplanes to give some better options. It's all in the airline's purview, how they're going to respond to this. And I think
there are a couple of things here. First of all, the dress better thing is not going to change anything. And that is not going to, people are not going to go to the airport and go, well, that person's wearing a pair of loafers. This is a much better travel experience now. That doesn't matter. And then on this point of trying to ask the airlines to provide more, healthy food and stuff, that is not what is bothering passengers from a cost perspective right now. Passengers are bothered by the fact that airlines are cramming more people into smaller seats, that they are nickel and diming them for every single add-on, that they are canceling flights and putting huge delays in place for travelers without providing the necessary lodging or compensation for people when their travel gets disrupted. There is all of those. There are more flight delays than ever, and safety concerns are rising, as we saw for the airline crash that happened at the beginning of the Trump administration this year. Due to, not only certain errors, but possibly a lack of air traffic controllers. Those are the things that the American people actually care about that will make a notable difference for them in how they travel. But Sean Duffy is obsessed with telling them how to dress and asking them to, asking the airlines to provide healthier options than a cookie on the plane. It's not serious policy, and it's not really doing anything to move the needle for anybody. And then, the RFK Jr. being there was one of the most bizarre parts of this whole press conference. And while his focus there was sort of to talk about healthier food at the healthier food at the airport and stuff, he went on this weird tangent about breast milk. And it is so cringy. You have to sort of see it to believe it. Take a look at what RFK Jr. had to say here.
All of the ingenuity of corporate America, all the resources, all the resourcefulness has not produced an infant formula that is superior in nutrition and all the qualities that we want to the infant formula that God made, which is the infant formula in a mother's breast. We at HHS are encouraging mothers to breastfeed as long as possible, because there is no better food for your brain, for your gut microbiome, for your physical growth, for your emotional growth, than what's in God-given breast milk. And
I think I can confidently say that the American people would be very happy if they could never hear RFK Jr. talk about breast milk again. And look, like, I know he's trying to do it in the context of probably having more like nursing stations at the airport, but the way he brings it up is strange, and it still is just not addressing what people actually care about in terms of going to the airport and traveling in a way that is, again, cost effective, safe, and efficient. And you know, Sean Duffy doesn't seem to care about any of that stuff. He doesn't care about hiring more air traffic controllers. He doesn't seem to care about modernizing the actual, technology that these air traffic controllers use to improve air travel. So instead, he thought he would come out with another proposal of what would make things a lot better for the American people when they go to the airport. And it had nothing to do with any of these things. It has to do with physical fitness, evidently. Take a look at what Sean Duffy had to say. We'll talk about it on the other side.
Pretty wide open on what airports want to ask for a grant, but it might be, I want to expand the play areas for kids. I want additional nursing pods for nursing mothers. Maybe I want a workout area where people might get some blood flow and doing some pull-ups or some step-ups in the airport. But it could be any range of things. Maybe you want to work, I know this is TSA, but we're going to help on this as well. Maybe you want to have a different lane for families to get through TSA. How can we make the experience better as you come through an airport? $1 billion is going to go to that.
So just to get this straight, I'm supposed to show up to the airport in my Sunday best, but then I'm supposed to run up and go do a bunch of pull-ups on the pull-up bar. I don't think that makes a ton of sense, but there is this weird, and it happens in all of these different organizations, this obsession, this kind of MAGA Trump obsession with masculinity seems to work its way into every facet of the policy they create. And it's so strange. We don't need to be talking about masculinity and physical strength at a press conference about smoother air travel. Just doesn't need to be there. However, Sean Duffy wasn't really making a joke when he brought up the pull-up bar thing. He actually brought the pull-up bar that he would like to start putting in airports, and he and RFK used it as an excuse to have a pull-up bar competition between the two of them in the middle of O'Hare Airport yesterday. Let's take a look at that very interesting display.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Get up there. Come
He
on.
wants one more.
Here we go. Come on.
Come on. 6, 7. Come on. 8. Come on.
Yeah.
One more. One more. Yeah. Oh, you got one more. I think he's got 10. Come on. Oh, we count it.
I mean, this has the same energy as like two dads competing for dominance on a kindergarten playground. Like none of this, again, I'm just saying it again, none of this moves the needle for anybody. It's like they get up there and they're doing this stuff and it's for clips. And I've seen stuff on MAGA World being like, how cool is it that RFK is 71 and doing pull-up doing pull-ups at the airport? Who gives a shit? That's not helping anybody. It's doing nothing. Like putting a bunch of pull-up bars. If I saw a person doing a pull-up at an airport, I'd be like, well, that's weird. Like this isn't do anything for anybody. It was basically the two of them getting together, showing that they don't have actual serious policy proposals, and then doing this weird pull-up competition and calling it a day. And those lack of serious plans really came into focus at the end of this press conference as well, when reporters got a chance to ask Sean Duffy questions, and they actually asked him about priorities and concerns that the American people are actually thinking about. And Sean Duffy didn't really have an answer for any of them. Let's take a look at when he was asked about airlines charging families more to sit with their kids. This is what he had to say.
Literally. Okay. What do you got?
Is there an update on the 2024 Department of Transportation proposal to make it to ban airlines from charging families from sitting together?
I don't have an update. I know that was under review at DOT. And again, I find it's an issue I'm sensitive to. I want families to be able to sit together. A lot of feedback I get is it's already happening, but that rule is under review, so no update.
Mind you, that was a 2024 rule by the Secretary of Transportation back in 2024, Pete Buttigieg, who seems to have actually been making legitimate policy proposals that were going to help the American people, like banning airlines from charging families for sitting together with their kids, which is something that actually could have an impact on people. And apparently it's just still under review for Sean Duffy's Department of Transportation because they don't care about that stuff. There's no substance to what they actually think about. And it was the same thing. He was asked about plans to lower costs of food in the airport. And this is what Sean Duffy had to say. Let's take a look.
So the question is lowering the cost of food in airports, and again, it's interesting. It's market demand and supply. They have people, pretty tightly contained, and there's not a lot of options. And so I don't have a plan to reduce costs. What I am trying to do is provide healthier options for people. And again, who doesn't love a greasy burger at the airport? I know I do.
Legitimate question. Illegitimate answer. And that is, kind of what sums this whole thing up is that there were opportunities for Sean Duffy to come out here and actually make some proposals that people could latch onto and enjoy. And when he was asked about something that Pete Buttigieg actually cared about, he didn't even have an answer for it. And so this was much more about, weird masculine symbolism than it was about actually, actually coming with some solutions. And unfortunately, I don't think Sean Duffy has the capability or the mental capacity of bringing more complex proposals to his job as the Secretary of Transportation, other than saying, let's bring some pull-up bars and put some more, nursing pods in the airport. I guess that's fine and all, but I don't think it's going to do anything for people at the end of the day. And so I think if these administration officials cannot come and host a press conference without turning it into a circus that really displays how unseriously they take their jobs, then no wonder the American people continually feel like everything is broken right now. That is it for me today. If you liked what you saw, throw a like on this video, follow the Dem Wins Media YouTube channel, follow me at buildingthebench.substack.com, and we will keep bringing you the news as you need to see it. Thanks for watching.